Dudes and dudettes, how are you guys? This is Chazzy and welcome back to The Mixer, the segment on this channel where I give you guys all sorts of detailed analyses from all walks of life. I'll talk about people, places, animals, food, sports, traveling, the whole 9 yards, hence why it's called The Mixer, because I mix a bunch of things up in this huge playlist here with over 200 videos at this point, good lord. And by the way, today you guys might notice that there is a bad case of the windies in the background. You know, it's a very windy day today and I don't know why. It's so sunny, so nice out, a good day to do laundry and other things, and yet the wind does not stop. It keeps blowing over my damn towels outside and I don't want my towels to be blown over outside. Anyway, today I'm going to be doing a very unique video that's actually going to be the second of its kind here on my channel, which is my supporter origin series, right? The very first one being this one here that I did earlier this year about the Florida Panthers, right? Which is basically why I, as a hockey fan, chose to support the Florida Panthers, you know, why I took them on as my team, and a little bit about the history of the franchise, you know. And I'm going to be doing the exact same thing today, but I'm going to be talking about my football team. You guys are going to understand why I support the Miami Dolphins, and there is quite a little bit of backstory here. Actually, there isn't. It's actually pretty simple, to be honest. You know, it's just as simple as that Panthers video there. Now, in case you guys don't know, I grew up in South Florida, and even though I was never really a sports nut as a kid, I always saw so much merchandising of the Florida sports teams around me, you know, not just in school, but in stores and supermarkets, on commercials, on TV, you know. There were kids in my neighborhood who would go outside with their jerseys and play ball and stuff, you know, and the Miami Dolphins is like that logo, whether it's the new modern one or the classic Dolphin logo. I always saw that everywhere that I went and I never understood what it was. I even think that at some point I had merch in my house, you know. I think my mom would buy me clothes with the Dolphins logo, you know, whether it's hats or shirts. I think I even had an orange jersey at one point, you know. It was crazy, man. Like, I never knew what this was, but I really liked the logo. I really liked that Dolphin. I liked the colors, you know, like blue and orange and a little bit of white. So even though I never really knew what exactly they were, I always associated them with things of my childhood, you know, because I did like mammals, you know. I was a big fan of aquatic animals like dolphins, for example. I went to Miami Seaquarium countless times with my folks and I saw them. So as a child, whenever I saw that Miami Dolphins logo, I always thought it was something associated with nature, animals, things that I liked. So naturally, I kind of started to, like, let's say, implement it into the back of my mind, you know. And all of these years later, when I finally started watching football for the first time, it was a no-brainer what team I was going to choose to support, you know. In case you guys don't know, the Miami Dolphins are actually the oldest professional sports team in Florida. They were established way back in 1965, man, and they currently play in the American Football Conference, or the AFC for short, specifically the Eastern Division. And we have actually had a very long and interesting history of success, you know, both in the regular season and the postseason, right, the playoffs. And it's actually kind of funny because the Miami Dolphins are not a mediocre team by any standards, even though we have struggled to find success in recent years, you know. And me personally, having started watching football just a few years ago, I haven't really seen anything too spectacular, you know. Like, we have some good players now, you know. We have I believe Tyreek Hill is either the wide receiver or the running back. I always get those positions mixed up when it comes to Tyreek, you know. We have Tua playing quarterback. So it's very interesting to see how the sport has evolved over these years. And today, using social media, I can follow the Dolphins on Twitter or X now, you know, Facebook, Instagram. I can go to their YouTube channel and catch some highlights, you know. Like, unfortunately, I haven't been able to watch them now in the preseason because the games aren't streaming on any of the services that I have, but I go on YouTube and look up the highlights, you know. So, this month on the 17th, we're going to play our first regular season game against the New England Patriots, no less. And I'm really excited for that because it's going to be on Star Plus, which I have. Gonna watch the Dolphins playing ball, man. So there is a little bit of the nostalgic factor there as well. I'm going to be getting into it a little bit more and also dissecting some of the team's history right after I show you guys here some photos of the Dolphins through the years. Now, if you've been a Dolphins supporter for longer than I have, those photos were definitely nostalgic. You know, I'm kind of envious of you if you've been following football for many more years, because you saw a lot of our highlight reels, a lot of our big moments, and I'm especially envious if you live in Florida and you get to go to Hard Rock Stadium, which has been our home field since 1987. Before that, it was the Miami Orange Bowl, right, from 66 to 86. So, you know, I would love to go to Hard Rock Stadium just one time just to watch a home game, watch us win. Even if we don't win, I would be there to see us, you know, doing the fins up, man, doing the waddle. God, Jalen Waddle, our wide receiver, man, scoring his touchdowns. I would love to see that. But anyway, so a lot of people might not know that the Dolphins actually have 2 Super Bowl championships, because it happened so long ago in the 70s, you know, but there is an interesting history there. We actually joined the league in 1970 as part of the AFL and the NFL merger, and already the next season we went to Super Bowl 6, you know, which is great, but unfortunately we lost to the Dallas Cowboys, a little bit of a downer. But in the next year, in 72, we became the 3rd team in NFL history to do a perfect season, right? So we won all 14 of our regular season games, all 3 of our playoff games, and we went to the Super Bowl and won against the Washington Redskins, man, our first Super Bowl ring, which was in Super Bowl 7. Now that felt good. It was like we were on top of the world. Could not get any better than that, man, you know? However, in 73, the very next season, guess what? We went to another Super Bowl and we won again. This time it was Super Bowl 8. And now we actually became the first team in NFL history to go to 3 consecutive Super Bowls and the second team to win 2 of them back to back, man, you know? And we actually were the first team. Remember what I said about the perfect season before? We were the first team, you know, to this day. We're the only team to do a perfect season since the AFL and NFL merger, you know, known as the Super Bowl era, you know, in the 70s. So it was pretty crazy, man. And we actually have very interesting playoff success as well. We have a total of 5 conference championships, you know, in the NFC. And we also have, aside from that, a grand whopping 13 division titles in the NFC East. And the last one was in 2008, so unfortunately I haven't seen any of them, you know, because I mean, I was still in America back then and I was very far from becoming a sports nut, so that was the last time that we actually won anything. But we do have 24 playoff appearances, the most recent ones being in 2016 and 2022. I did not see much of it in 2022 because I couldn't watch football yet. It didn't come to any of my streaming services, but now I can. And it's pretty interesting because the Dolphins have had a very good roster of players, a lot of really cool highlight moments as well, you know. So it's not like we're underdogs or anything, man. We actually have a very, very good history within the NFL, which I think is pretty cool, you know. Me personally, I think it's awesome. You know, our nicknames over the years, you can call us the Fins or the Killer Bees or even the No-Name Defense. The No-Name Defense. Good, my God, man. It's been the first time I've uttered that phrase in a long time. But anyway, so right now the Dolphins have struggled a little bit, you know, to make it, you know, to the playoffs. Or well, we do make it, but it's really hard for us to win a Super Bowl because our roster usually falls a little short, you know. We have a very good team right now, but it's just not. It's not the same as like back in the 80s and 90s with Dan Marino, who is honestly one of the greatest quarterbacks ever, and I would go on and say the best player in franchise history for the Dolphins, you know. But I don't know, not even he. Like, he took us to a Super Bowl appearance. No, throughout the 80s, we did go to 2 more Super Bowls, you know, but we unfortunately fell short of winning because it was different, man. It was different. Like, the 70s Dolphins were a dynasty. Like, everybody was just so in sync. And when you think of the Dolphins in the 80s and 90s, I mean, we pretty much just had Dan Marino, you know, and we're going up against the likes of John Elway and Joe Montana, you know. I mean, it's just, the 80s were complicated. The 80s, especially the 90s, you know, it was really tough, man. So, I don't know. I think that, I don't know. I just don't know, but I have a feeling that this year we're going to go pretty far. I think we might even win a Super Bowl, you know, but maybe it's just me being a bit too optimistic, but let's see. Before I continue, I'm going to show you guys now the best part of the video. It's what you come here for, I know. Let's take a look at some clips of random highlights from the Miami Dolphins throughout the years.
A giant step took the Dolphins to the 1-yard line where Stan Mitchell went all the way.
Hard throw. Look at that! What a play! Jay Fiedler Looking one way, going the other way in his pants, and it's Aronde Gadsden who has
on 1st and goal. Duke Johnson. Johnson looking for the goal line. Touchdown.
I tried to, put in one clip from each decade to give you guys a little bit of an evolutionary dynamic, hopefully it came out okay. And, regarding the coaching staff, our current head coach is Mike McDaniels, and I like him. He's young and inexperienced, but I really like him, taking over, our strategies and tactics, and he assumed the position last year after being the offensive and defensive coordinator, basically an assistant for a bunch of other teams throughout the league, However, no coach will ever hold a candle to the legendary Don Shula, who is the winningest head coach in NFL history. A lot of those wins came with the Miami Dolphins, He was our coach for 25 years, from 1970 to 1995, where he won us both of our Super Bowls, a lot of division titles, and went to the playoffs so many times, man. God, nobody will ever come close. I'm sorry to all the Bill Belichick and Patriots fans out there, but Don Shula and the Dolphins, bro, freaking power dynasty right there. We've had a few really good players on the field as well. I mentioned previously Dan Marino, who's my personal favorite, but we've also had, others, just name a few: Jason Taylor, Zach Thomas, Chris Carter, Larry Little. There was Dwight Stephenson, Paul Warfield, who played in the 70s. So, we've had a very impressive roster throughout the years, and our rich history also contributes a lot to why I wanted to support them in the first place, Sure, we don't have a very impressive resume like, like the Patriots, with their dynasty with Tom Brady, and we might not have like a very dominant impact in the sport like the Packers, for example, but still, man, we represent something beautiful in football and also for sports in Miami in general. So just thinking about the Dolphins and how they operate in Miami Gardens, Florida, it takes me back to my youth, man, because I grew up a few hours away from Miami, and I went there a few times every year with my parents and friends, so it's kind of like a homey instinct for me. It makes sense for me to support the Miami Dolphins. Like, no other team would have just felt the same way, It's kind of like this homey instinct that I have to Florida, and Miami especially. So I associate that, with other sports teams like the Florida Panthers, the Miami Heat, the Miami Marlins and baseball. So, it just makes a lot of sense. It fits, it's like a scheme fit, when you're playing Madden, it just fits so perfectly, me supporting the Miami Dolphins. I love the colors too, man, I think that the Dolphin color, the light blue, is very neutral. It's not too flashy or too discreet. It's just the perfect shade of teal right there, And over the years, we've had different colors, a little lighter, a little darker, all white away uniforms and alternate orange uniforms as well, because our colors are primarily teal, white, and orange. So sometimes there will be some differences, maybe the number will be a little bigger or smaller, or the name will be a different font. There will be different highlights and outlines, everything looks different, there are, because the same thing with all sports jerseys every year, there are different ones. There are some changes, that makes them look slightly different, just enough for you to notice that there's something different. But we always have our home uniform, sometimes we play all blue, all teal. I love it so much, man. It's just awesome. It's just an amazing color palette, an incredible history, very good players. Just everything about the Dolphins screams home to me, like a sense of comfort. Like I feel like wherever they are, wherever I watch them, whoever they play, it's like I'm at home watching them, It just feels really good. It makes me feel like I'm back in Florida as a kid again, seeing their logo, their merchandise all over the place. It's just so nostalgic to me. So that's one of the many reasons why I chose to support them, and I always will until the day I die, Fins up all the way. That's just my motto. Well, that's their motto, but with me, it's just so much more than that. It's fins up for life, and I'm starting to fall more in love with football, through them, watching their highlights and looking at their history on YouTube, researching about them on Wikipedia and other articles. It's just so cool, man. It is just so freaking cool. So hopefully this year, one of our players, I believe it was Tyreek Hill or Jason Waddle, he said he was going to rush for over 2,000 yards and we were going to win a Super Bowl. So I'm going to quote him on that. That's what I want. That's what I want to hear, man. And if I ever move back to or visit Florida, I will try really hard to go to Hard Rock Stadium to catch a game, Kickoff starts now on 17th of this month, you know, our regular season game against the Patriots. I don't know if I mentioned that before earlier in the video, but if I didn't, well, it's gonna be nice to see that too. I'm gonna watch it on Star Plus, so stop honking, you stupid cars, Mr. Bean. Anyway, guys, let me know in the comments below what team you support. If you even do, you can tell me what made you support them. Give me your own little backstory. I think it's going to be really cool, you know? And stick around, because whenever I come back to doing more sports videos on this channel, I will do more supporter origin series. You know, there will be more explaining why I support each team that I do in the sports that I follow. So, you know, it's something to look forward to if you're a fan of my content. And if you happen to like this video, please go ahead and give it a like, and also support my... Wait, what? Give this video a like, and also subscribe to my channel, because I release videos every single day. And while you're at it, hit the notification bell too, so I can know exactly what time I upload. I think I was gonna say support my Patreon. No, that's not what I've been watching too much The Completionist lately. He says that in a few videos. But anyway, so that's it, guys. This is Chazzy signing out for now, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Roll the outro screen.